Greetings and welcome to the Power Gamer Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Dawson, joined as always by the illustrious and wonderful Johnny Paulus,
and wonderful,
who's looking rather fine today. It appears that you have been groomed, sir.
I had my ears lowered today.
Look at that fade. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is quite the fade you've got going on there.
Chopped it all off, brother.
Man, we're gonna have to get you get Megan a bat to keep all the ladies away from you. Jesus Christ. Be like, oh, can I touch that? Oh, it's so fuzzy. Bam.
It is fuzzy, yes.
Yeah. We'll Christmas list, Megan, bitch, stay away from my husband bat. Got it.
Yeah. Make the investment.
Well, look, I'm sure you're feeling good with your fresh cut, sir. But how are things going for the Johnny Paulus?
Good. Yesterday so behind our house we have like a big garage that's just our dumping ground that we use for storage, and we hadn't really like cleaned it and organized it in a very long time. And we have 2 kids, so like the second you open the door, it's just like mountain of stuff you have to trip over to get in there.
Sure.
So finally Saturday we're like, enough is enough. We pulled everything out. And we took all the stuff from the previous tenants who were renting from. It's their stuff. We didn't want to throw it away. But we tucked it off as far off into the corner as we could, so none of that shit's in our way anymore. And it's now like tons of space in there. So it's, it always feels good to get a nice like spring cleaning project done. So it's a lot of work, but I'm very happy with it.
Did you find any more old video game shit in there that old Mike Dawson might want? Or
I found a Wavebird receiver.
Oh, really?
Little guy that plugs into the
Oh, really? Yes. Yes. I think I have just a Wavebird controller with no receiver.
It's yours. I found it, brought it into the house.
Fuck yes.
I also found a little gadget that apparently they still have some value on eBay, but I'm going to put it on Facebook first, and there you go.
Oddly enough, within hand's reach, I have one right now.
And see if anybody's interested. Do you remember the Line 6 backtrack?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I found one of those.
Yeah, you'll have to explain to people listening what the fuck that is, because this is definitely not a Guitar Gear
right
podcast.
So it's a little box. It's like the size of like a wireless transmitter for a guitar, and you can literally just strap it onto your guitar strap like you would anything else. But what it does is you plug your guitar into it, and then you run that out to your guitar amp, and it basically, as soon as you turn it on, it's always recording. Mm-hmm. Always recording. And then as soon as you, like, say you're jamming with your bandmates, or you're doing whatever, and you're like, oh, what was that? That was cool. You hit the button, and it saves the last things that you played.
So smart. Yeah, I remember when you got that.
And then you could just USB it, connect it to your computer, and all your little, like, aha moments that you had where you just press the button, they're all there as a separate little, MP3 file. It's a really cool little device.
Yeah, you were pumped on it back in our Guitar Center.
Yeah,
when that thing came out.
Yep, I used it a lot.
Well, I am getting ready to hit the road for a week.
Uh-oh, where are you going?
I've got to drive all over Virginia. I've got to go do visits with one of my many manufacturers that I work for. So Monday I will be driving down to Roanoke. There Tuesday, Richmond on Wednesday, Virginia Beach and Manassas on Thursday, and then back home. So
that's going to be a road trip.
Quite a lot of driving for me next week. So
well, we know what travel for Mike means. What are you planning on playing on your Nintendo Switch while you're out of town?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go pick up the new Tactics Ogre remake and knock that out.
I was going to recommend Sparks of Hope. Is supposed to be really, really good. The new Mario Rabbids game.
Yeah, I still have the first one that I've not touched.
God, you need to play it. It's awesome. It's really good.
It's on a gigantic ass list of things to do. But the Tactics Ogre thing that's priority level.
Yeah, that's a solid choice.
There's been so many big game releases lately. Actually, we should probably talk about that real quick.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Of course, God of War Ragnarok is out and in the wild, which I know that you've been playing. We'll talk about that some more in our next segment.
Yep.
Also, a new Sonic game, which there was some fuckery on the internet with this new Sonic game today, wasn't there?
Was there?
Yeah, like the price got lowered for a few minutes and then shot back up. Like, what?
Yeah, what was weird about that is it feels like it was a pricing error, but it was two different vendors did it at the same time. So I have a theory. I think it was a Black Friday price that they loaded in preparation for Black Friday and accidentally went live early in the morning Saturday. Because I've mentioned him before as a one-up forever ago, but my favorite Twitter account to follow is Wario64. He's just at Wario64. All he does is repost when stuff goes on sale, when stuff that's been out of stock becomes in stock, when items that were discontinued now pop up out of nowhere, when things go on clearance, when there's pricing errors, all that stuff. So I not only follow Wario64, I have his notifications on. I get his tweets, the moment they come out. But I woke up this morning, did a couple things around the house, and then went to check my notifications, and it said Sonic Frontiers is $39.99 for PS5 on Amazon and GameStop, and I was like, oh shit, because it's on the Christmas list for my youngest. He's dying for this game. I was like, I'm done. I'm gonna buy it right now, and I hit the link, and it was already back to 60. So I don't know what's going on there, but I am excited that that game's out, and the reception seems to be pretty good. I mean, a lot of people are saying that it's not perfect, but they're saying it's one of the best Sonic games we've had in probably a decade. So I mean, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's apparently not hot garbage, which is kind of where I had my expectation bar set.
Yeah.
I mean, just recently, there's the new Resident Evil 8 DLC that I need to play.
Yeah.
Bayonetta 3 came out.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2, which I want to go on sale because I just want to play the campaign.
Yeah.
This is a just me game, but WRC Generations, that's World Rally Championship. It's a off-road car driving game. Very realistic, very sim-oriented. I want that. Harvestella just came out on the Switch. Sonic Frontiers, of course, God of War Ragnarok. Tactics Ogre Reborn. And then just right around the corner, we've got 2 new Pokemon games, Scarlet and Violet.
Yep.
Evil West, Midnight Suns, Callisto Protocol. Another driving game for me, Need for Speed Unbound, which I don't know if you've looked at that yet.
I haven't.
That looks really fucking cool. It's a huge change for the series style-wise, and I think it's what Need for Speed's been lacking. It's kind of gone to a cel-shaded arcade, like cartoon kind of look that I think will really suit that game well. Lord of the Rings Gollum is also out next month, which I know we both want to play, even though we think it looks fucking ridiculous.
I hate the character models in that game. Can't stand them.
So, and Gotham Knights, which I waiting to go like bargain price.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a scoop it for 30 during the Steam winter sale.
The new Dark Pictures game, which is late. They usually come out for Halloween, but The Devil in Me is coming out as well this week, actually. So yeah, there's just an awful lot to play and not enough time to do so, unfortunately. So
I'm watching this trailer right now. This looks great. It looks like if Into the Spider-Verse was a racing game.
Yeah, and I'm hoping it's a callback to what worked in the 2016 title, because to me that was really the last good one. So we'll see, but lots of things coming out, lots of things to be aware of. And let's get into what we've been playing this week, because that'll help us digest the wall of shit we're working on that's blocking us from getting to some of these new games. I'll go first because mine are mostly repetitive or callbacks. So I fired back up the racing simulator finally. I moved the PlayStation 5 over to it, which is the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took you that long.
Yeah, I've made my whole rig here more modular, so things can pick up, move out of the main display, and then quickly hook up into the 2 rigs that I have over here. My room's fucking ridiculous, folks. For those that don't know, Johnny, of course, this is like, okay, yeah, Mike's is fucking crazy. But I've got like over 20 systems hooked up that can go on with the push of a button, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different stations that I can play games from in my room. So it can get pretty hairy without proper planning to be able to play things where I want to. So yeah, I wanted to get it to the point where my PlayStation 5 could easily move between setups. And I found that the streaming for PlayStation 5, you had mentioned this a few weeks back, has gotten a lot better.
It's gotten a lot better.
And so if I'm feeling lazy now with the PS5 over here on the racing sim, I've rehooked up the PS4 on the couch screen, and I'm finding streaming games over to it's basically latency free within this room at least. So
yeah, the main thing you're sacrificing at this point with remote play in its current stage is you're playing at 1080 instead of 4K. But otherwise, I think the video quality, frame rate, latency, all of that, it seems like they've solved all of those issues. It's 1080 instead of 4K. That's really all you're losing.
What I did find was interesting is when I first attempted streaming, it was with the PS4 on the sim rig, with the PS5 still over on the main couch system. And the my steering wheel setup, I have a Fanatec CSL Elite rig on my sim. Your wheel and pedal thing will not work in a streaming situation, oddly enough. So the controller will, but that would not. So that's what ultimately I was like, all right, let me just reorganize some stuff. So
right. So what, did you just get like an extra power cord and an extra HDMI? So you just yank it from the TV and plug it in over at the rig?
Well, fortunately, the PS4 and the PS5 use the exact same hookups.
That's true.
So the real thing was dealing with my VR system. Because having VR over in the sim is pretty integral to me, because I like having VR there for Ace Combat, for Star Wars Squadrons, for Dirt Rally, Gran Turismo. So I just I got on the PlayStation site and I requested one of the camera adapters, and they said, oh yeah, we'll send it right out to you. So we'll see if that happens. If not, it looks like I can buy a camera adapter for $20, thus allowing my PSVR setup to work on the PS5. So Gran Turismo 7 on PS5 is a night and day difference, because there is no loading times. The loading times on PS4 are horrendous, but PS5, it's instant load. And it's just wonderful. So in the sim rig, I played Gran Turismo 7 on PS5, Dirt Rally 2, and then the one I would kind of want to talk about is Assetto Corsa Competizione, because I've talked about that game quite a bit on the podcast, and all the issues I had with its fucking horrible PC optimization, just not wanting to work.
Yeah.
PS5, perfectly optimized. I mean, it runs like butter, which is really confusing, because the RTX 2080 chugging butts because the game is CPU heavy, and I was getting these bottlenecking issues, and I mean, it would barely run. But PS5, it runs fucking flawlessly, so I'm finally enjoying that game, and it's probably the best racing sim I've played. I mean, that's counting it against iRacing and stuff, which my iRacing setup's fine, it works great, but iRacing, that we could have a whole episode about that, and Johnny would just glaze over and fucking hang himself. But
pretty much.
It's great. So having a lot of fun with my sim stuff still. Resident Evil 4, I'm just about done with. I'm in Chapter 5, Section 2, which means I have 2 more sections in Chapter 5, and then that quick section, Chapter 6, and I'll be done with my Resident Evil 4 playthrough, which I am streaming at twitch.tv/FocusMikeD on an actual GameCube that I have converted into stream at its native 4:3 resolutions. It's really cool. Oddly enough, there's a lot of people that watch Resident Evil 4 in stream. That's a very popular game. It usually has about 400 or so viewers. But it's mostly watching people play these PC mods where everyone's in like really fucking slutty clothes and shit. And then you have me, who's the only guy on Twitch playing one on a fucking ancient ass GameCube, switching discs because it's a 2-disc game on game. And people love it. So I've had a lot of folks pop over to the channel and check that out, and it's been cool. So I'm going to keep riding my retro wave, if you will.
I think it's smart. Makes sense.
It's totally me. I picked up Silent Hill 2. So I have Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 3 ready to go after I finish this. And then just going to polish off the Resident Evil series. I've got 0, Revelations 2, 5, 6. There's Deadly Aim. I picked up the light gun game, which I'll be able to stream the light gun.
Resident Evil 5 doesn't get enough love.
That game's great. Yeah.
I love Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, 6 also isn't bad, but people just act like it is.
Five was the first one that felt like an action game.
I would argue that
5 is.
I would argue that 4 is, but 5 is.
You're right. You're right.
4, my memory of that game versus what it actually is. The amount of fucking Emperor Palpatines that you mow down in that fucking castle is absurd. So
well, I just remember from my playthrough in 5, like ammo is never a concern. You're just like fully caked up with just tons of clips and rockets, and you're just mowing people down the whole game.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So Resident Evil 4, I'll be done with that whenever I have a chance to stream the last section. That'll probably be Friday when I get back. And then undoubtedly the game that I've played the most this week is Marvel Snap, you motherfucker. It's Marvel Snap.
It's so good, man.
Let's talk about Marvel Snap some.
Sure.
Because, folks, if you're listening to this show, you kind of need to download this game, at least play a couple rounds, because I think me and Johnny are both fairly hooked on it at this point.
Facts.
But I have found that I can basically intelligently put together a deck of whatever I feel like.
Yep.
And it works. And I just win like crazy. Because every game's different, and you play the board with the cards that you have, not card versus card.
It's also the nature of you have less cards in your hand, so every game you're going to see like 75% of your cards. And the games are really short, so it's really easy to theory craft a deck and go, that should work. And then you do a couple games, and you're like, nah, the tempo's off. I got to get rid of one of these 5s and put another 2 in here. What would be a good synergy? Ooh, yeah. Let me put Lizard in there. You know, it's just awesome.
Yeah, so I've been my latest deck is comprised completely of characters with ongoing effects and on reveal. And then depending on how the game goes, I have Odin and Onslaught to finish off the game.
Yep.
Which is I was playing a Devil Dinosaur build with Moon Girl, and that was fun, but like then it got really boring. Because I was just doing the same thing.
I don't like.
Game.
Yeah, the thing I don't like about the Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur deck is it's so reliant on you getting the right cards in the right order. And when you do, it's dominant. But when you don't, you're just sitting there going, fuck, I can't do anything this turn. I not a deck I enjoy. The deck I've been using, the deck that I've had the most success with this whole time has been Zoo decks. I've done really, really, really well with Zoo decks. I now have my own creation that I name Khazar Ultron. So it's Khazar and Ultron are the main points of the deck. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 1-cost cards, 1 2-cost card, and then a 4, 5, and 6. Actually, you know what? I've altered this deck. I've taken Angela out and I've put Mystique in. Are you familiar with the Mystique card?
Mm-hmm.
She copies an outgoing of whatever the last card you played was. So you flood the board with 1s, and then when you put Khazar out, he increases attack power for all of those by 1. Then you have Blue Marvel. He increases all the cards by 1. And then you have Ultron. Ultron is an 8 power card that fills all the other open spaces in the other two battlegrounds with one drones. So if you have a Kazar and a Blue Marvel, and then you Ultron, not only is an 8 in that battleground, you now have a 3 Ultron in every single spot. It's
we're getting nerdy because Kazar and Blue Marvel are ongoing effects, so it doesn't matter what order things come out. They always put out their buff. So you're very susceptible to getting fucking clapped by one card.
Killmonger is my number one counter,
Yeah, who I always put in my deck.
Well, and that's one of the beautiful things about the Ultron card, though. The amount of games that they turn 5 Killmonger me, and then I go, I don't care. I still got a Kazar out. I still got a Blue Marvel out. And here's Ultron, and the board's full of ones again. So if I have Ultron in my hand, Killmonger hurts me, sure, but I can still fill the entire game back up with drones.
Yeah, my main objective in Marvel Snap is to have the Punisher be the most devastating card on the board. And when
he's a strong card.
Because he's basically on a contested square, he's always going to be a 6 power. And you pair him with Onslaught, and Frank Castle just fucks up everything. Because now you're at a space that's a guaranteed 20 power with just the Punisher and Onslaught in the same spot, which always fucks people up because they're like, they've been stacking cards here, and they're like, he's just got one fucking Frank Castle here. Let's do the Ant-Man stack with these fucking ones. And then they're like at 8 power, and Frank's at 6. And you just pop. You're like, okay, I'll just work on these other spaces then while they're fucking off in here. Right. And then final turn, just go, and here's Onslaught, and now Frank Castle's on fucking steroids, and you're all dead.
Yep. Please tell me you have an Iron Man in that deck.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
He's my turn 5. I didn't get Onslaught. Fuck you card.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Loving Marvel Snap. If what we just discussed sounds like complete Japanese, that's your fault, not ours. That is your fault.
Hey, the game's free. It's everywhere. It's on Apple. It's on iPhone. It's on Google. It's on PC. It's on everything. Just play it.
Yeah,
it's free.
I caught Amy playing it. She's all about it now too. So.
Oh man, both my kids are hooked on it.
Yeah,
it's a great game. It's a fucking great game.
It's fantastic. So that crosses off the last on my list and the first on yours. Johnny, what else have you been playing this week?
I beat Far Cry New Dawn. I found the ending much more satisfying than the ending to Far Cry 5, and that's why I have a little bit of a rant here for you. Anybody that heard the episode when I beat Far Cry 5, I said that the end had kind of a twist ending, and I was a little dissatisfied with where everything wrapped up. And New Dawn is a direct sequel to 5. It continues that story. Some time has passed, and it's now this. And the end of the Joseph Seed story and everything is in there, and it was very well executed. The payoff was good. I dug it. I was happy with the end, but I still feel like these two should have just been in the same game. Because Far Cry doesn't stand up on its own 2 feet, and I don't think New Dawn does either. I think the two together, basically what I'm saying is if you want to play Far Cry 5, you need to go in knowing that New Dawn is required content. Or else you're going to roll credits and go, that's it? That's all there is? Because New Dawn really is like, you have to. And that's a shame. That feels like a ripoff. That I paid full price for a game. The ending just left me kind of going, okay, that was all right. And then I played New Dawn and go, cool, they wrapped it up. That's cool. But it shouldn't have been 2 separate games with 2 separate price tags. But, I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm still going to continue. I'm going to do Far Cry 4, probably not until next year because we've got so many games coming out between now and the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I'll have to continue my Far Cry Death March in 2023. Also had one solid play session with God of War Ragnarok. I'm about maybe 3-4 hours in. And, dude, just the level of quality that they continue to give us with these Sony first-party titles is just insane. And especially if you played the first one and you're familiar with what's going on in the story, this takes no time at all to get to where you're going. And the one moment, so my wife sat and watched me play the first one. So I'm not going to be streaming God of War Ragnarok because my wife likes sitting and watching. She's sucked into the story. I'm going to play it with her. It'll be our thing. So what's wild is the trailer where they reveal, Thor's in the game, and they reveal that this happened and that happened. And I'm 3 hours into the game, and I feel like most of the big plot reveals that were in the trailer I've already seen. So I'm now at that moment when you're sitting in the movie theater and you're 40 minutes into the movie and going, I've seen every single second that was in that trailer. The whole rest of this movie is uncharted territory for me. And that's how God of War feels right now. It feels like all the stuff they put in that trailer, the oh shit moments, it all happens in the very beginning. In the very beginning of the game is kind of what they showed in that trailer. So, the fit and finish, the presentation, the graphics are just fucking ridiculous. And I'm extremely excited about this game, and I can't wait to beat it. And next is Ghostwire Tokyo. I scooped it up.
It's been on sale.
I scooped it up on. It wasn't on CD Keys where I normally buy online PC codes. I think it was GG deals or something like that. But anyway, it was $21 for the Steam code, and I was like, fuck it, $20, done. And I've only had maybe half a play session with this. I played it for about 2 hours. And I think I can say why this game sort of flopped like it did, because I know the sales numbers weren't great for this game. Outside of the fact that it was released right around the same time as Elden Ring. But I think the marketing on this game was a little off.
Oh, it's terrible.
Because I remember you and I watching the trailer going, yeah, it looks cool. I mean, the graphics are cool, but the fuck is happening? What is happening? The trailer is just like, weird shit, weird shit, weird shit. Boom. More weird shit, weird shit, weird shit, weird shit. You're just like, I have no idea what's happening. And within the first 10 minutes of this game, I understand what's happening. I know what the stakes are. I know who the big bad is. I know what I have to do to get to the end. And it's like, if they just had a hint of that in the commercial, because it's a really cool concept. It's a very cool universe that you're kind of immediately plopped into, and it wastes no time getting you there. And I know this was a strong recommend for you, so that's why.
We have an entire spoiler episode about this game with Mick.
I know, and I haven't listened to it because I haven't played the game yet. But I'm looking forward to listening to that episode after I do. But yeah, I mean, so far I'm digging it. I like the style. It looks amazing on PC with ray tracing and everything turned on. Woo! It's a good looking game.
Yeah, you are. You're gonna love it. You're absolutely gonna love the game.
I think that's what I'm gonna stream this week. So anybody listening that wants to pop into the channel,
oh boy,
twitch.tv/H3LL3RO, come pop in and watch me play Ghostwire Tokyo this week.
Johnny is an empathetic man, and has strong emotions that he cannot resist wearing on his sleeve. Johnny, I'm warning you.
Oh no.
The amount of fucking onions that get chopped in this game it almost got me, and I'm like a fucking
bro, don't tell me that.
And I'm a fucking steel plank in comparison.
I'm still so thankful that I didn't have a camera on me when I played the end of Ghost of Tsushima, because I was streaming directly from the PlayStation and didn't have the camera yet.
Yeah, and
because that game got me.
This is maybe a little beyond that.
Okay,
and
right.
I mean,
I'm
perfect,
looking forward to playing it.
Perfectly executed and stuck landing fucking ending on this game. So
awesome.
But take your time with it. That is the number one thing I can tell people playing Ghostwire Tokyo. The game gets better the more time that you take with it.
Okay.
So if you want to rush through it, you can be done in 10, 12 hours.
Okay.
But take your time with it. That's
okay. Will do.
How the game is better presented, I think. All right. I think that wraps up what we've been playing this week, yeah?
Yes, it does.
Well, then, it is time to push forward into some interesting news. First thing we want to talk about is one of our favorite game developers. which of course is Remedy.
Hell yeah.
And Remedy has finally confirmed the worst kept secret in the video game industry.
Yep.
Here we go. As per Video Games Chronicle, Remedy has announced it's co-developing and co-publishing a sequel to Control with 505 Games. Control 2, formerly known as codename Heron, will release for PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and be built on Remedy's Northlight engine. They will publish the game on the PC platform, and 505 will publish it on console platforms. The project is currently in the concept stage. Remedy first announced plans for a bigger budget Control game in June of 2021. So Control was kind of an interesting thing just in and of itself, because when Control first came out, the first one, of course, it didn't do so great. But it was one of those games that either by word of mouth or just existing caught on. And the year after it released, it turned a positive profit for Remedy, and then really took off and did very well.
Yep.
It was kind of a budget game for them, and it's turned into one of their biggest successes. So Control 2, I guess if it's in its concept phase, we're probably, I don't know, 2025,
probably, yeah.
Something like that, until we actually get the game. Or, I mean, 2024 sounds like it'd be pushing it, so probably 2025.
If they're in concept phase, they're not. Yeah, they're going to spend a year writing it and figuring out what's going to happen and how they're going to do it.
Yeah, so I think as well it's going to have a multiplayer. So Control 2, this is jumping back into the article. Control 2 is the only franchise entry being worked on at Remedy. The company previously announced plans for a co-op multiplayer spin-off set in the same universe, which is currently codenamed Condor and is being developed by Remedy's Vanguard team. So very much getting into Control here. Johnny, this is a game that you have played and I believe beat? Not beat.
Have not beat. I need to go back and beat it.
This is on Johnny's list of things that I have started, almost beaten, and then forgot to beat because I got distracted by a new shiny.
That's a very accurate way of putting it. So a few things that make me really excited about this. Number one, Remedy don't miss. Remedy don't miss. They don't. They just don't miss. Max Payne. Quantum Break. They murder every game they come out with. So Remedy is batting 1,000 in my eyes. So that's awesome. The main thing I'm excited about with this, though, coming to PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X. No PS4, no Xbox One. One of the main things that I have to give Remedy major credit for is they are one of the main video game developers that pushes technology in video games forward. When that game, was it called Quantum Break? Was that the name of the game?
Yeah, for Xbox One, yeah.
That game had some of the most impressive things I've ever seen in a video game. Max Payne was the first game to have bullet time. The physics in Control are out of control, pun intended. They push technology. That's what they do. And so I'm really excited to see them. They're outright saying this is going to be a bigger budget Control. So the first Control presentation is amazing. The engine is great. It runs butter smooth on whatever you're playing it on. There's a lot to be excited about. It just does kind of suck that it's way in the future. But this is going to be a banger when it comes out. They're batting 1,000. Remedy don't miss.
Yeah, this is definitely. I've watched a bunch of this game played, and obviously, Max Payne is one of the most important games to me of all time ever.
Same.
Ever. For anyone who hasn't played it, the graphics are kind of wonky in 2022, but the gameplay is so good you won't care.
That's a game that's really overdue for a remake or remaster. If they just need to do Max Payne 1 and 2 remastered set or whatever, and just, you know, it's one of those things that drives me nuts. It's like you could just hire 10 people from the mod community that have been making mods for Max Payne 1 and Max Payne 2 and go, hey, what if we hired you and gave you $150,000 this year with this guy and 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 this guy to remaster the original 2 games? And you could make it happen like that easily. Just hire the people that have been modding that game and know how to do it, and just give them the keys and say, go make this happen.
Yeah, and give them a cut of all the sales once it happens.
Amen.
Easy enough. But yeah, so we're excited that Remedy has some buns in the oven, so to speak.
Yes.
Because all their buns are delicious.
Well, and they got to get Alan Wake done first.
Yeah, that's true. Which looks also fucking amazing.
Also looks amazing, yeah.
Yeah, so they're in good shape moving forward here. Right. Next up, a big, meaty topic to go over.
Yep.
So Mick Gordon is the man who put together some of the tastiest riffs of all time. If you're not familiar with who Mick Gordon is, that's okay, but you are probably familiar with the awesome guitar work that takes place in the new Doom universe.
Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, yep.
So good. I can just drive around listening to that soundtrack, and I do all the time because it's so fucking good.
So good. The production, the riffage is just disgusting. I mean, I'll never forget the first time I fired up Doom 2016. As, you know, dude, I was a Doom kid. Like, y'all were running around with your Marios and shit. I was sitting there with my Doom shareware floppy disk in my 486 jamming out the Doom. And when Doom 2016 comes out, the intro to that game where, you know, you rip the zombie's head off or whatever, and you pick up a gun and you go shoot, shoot, and then you hear it's like the heaviest fucking thing you've ever heard in your life.
It is.
Like, okay, this game's going to be amazing. I'm in.
The music is what made that game.
I agree. It is the beating heart of Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. The games do not slap nearly as hard without those games, without that music.
So,
period.
Mick Gordon is basically, in the video game world, a fucking legend at this point. I mean, he shows up to conventions and things and just comes out with a band and plays fucking Doom songs, and people lose their mind. He could tour just doing Doom stuff, and people would sell out huge venues just to go.
I'd go.
Fucking listen to. I'd go in a heartbeat. Can you imagine if he came out and they had videos of Doom and were selling fucking Doom merchant? I'd be broke.
Like, damn it! I need the hoodie. I'm gonna need. Yeah, let me get the.
I would buy every
shirt. Yeah.
But sadly, that's not ever gonna fucking happen, and here's why. Pulling this article once again from Video Games Chronicle, one of my favorite news sites. Doom Eternal composer accuses id Software director of lying about the original soundtrack's failure. Mick Gordon claims he was offered 6 figures to stay quiet about it, but refused. Here's the drop. So, the soundtrack was included as part of the collector's edition of the game, promising lossless and uncompressed audio files featuring composer Mick Gordon's music. However, when the soundtrack was released, players complained that only 11 of the 59 tracks had been mixed by Gordon himself, while the rest had been mixed from music fragments taken from the game. In May of 2020, id Software studio director Emperor Palpatine, Marty Stratton, posted a lengthy statement on Reddit claiming that Gordon had delayed the soundtrack, then underdelivered, forcing id to get the game's lead audio designer to make up the rest of the tracks. However, in a detailed statement posted this week on his own Medium page, Gordon has refuted Emperor Palpatine, Marty Stratton's claims, and is accusing him of not only lying about the situation, but also offering him a six-figure sum to stay quiet about it. Gordon's 14,000-word statement details his entire experience working on the game from his initial agreement to sign on until the backlash surrounding the soundtrack. According to Gordon, Doom Eternal was a difficult project to compose the score for because id allegedly required him to provide 2 levels worth of music per month, despite most of the game not yet existing. Gordon claims that the continuing changing development of the game led to numerous rewrites and the need to continually scrap submitted music, and that while he had proposed a different schedule, Stratton allegedly criticized his ability to do the work. Quote, he rejected my belief that the current schedule was flawed and suggested my act of trying to do something about it was a sign of incompetence, Gordon alleges. Refusing to accept the reality of the situation, he threw the proposal back in my face and proceeded to tear me down for having the audacity to raise the issue in the first place. Yikes. There's a lot more to this. This is just a huge wall of text.
Yeah. You that big bite that you just took is like 5% of the story. It just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, he goes on to explain that he had crunched 18 to 20 hours each day to finish the tracks on time. But that Marty Stratton decided with 5 hours to go that he wanted different songs instead. So imagine doing all this work to put together a soundtrack, and you are the fucking god of video game soundtracks. And having someone go, nah, no, not that. And so digging for the devil between the details is a lot of the music was refused by Marty Stratton, more specifically. And so Mick was initially only paid for the stuff that they accepted. And even that wasn't done in a timely fashion. I think it took him something like almost a year to collect payment.
Yeah, he said he went 9 months without getting paid.
But then when the actual product came out, he found that many of the things that were quote-unquote scrapped actually made their way into the game and that he's not been paid for them. So there's a lot here. Johnny, let's get your outlook on this whole situation, because I know you've got a lot of feelings about it.
Yeah, so video game score work is something that I've aspired to, and I've done demos with a buddy of mine who's in a very successful rock band. You've heard of them, but I'm not going to name drop him. And it's something that would be a dream for me to be able to do that level of stuff. And to hear this guy's story, beginning to end, of the process of him going, you guys aren't even like at this phase in the game yet, and I got to keep making 2 songs a month? Wouldn't it make more sense if we did, nope, keep going, keep plugging. No, we don't like this one. We don't like that one. We don't like this one. Keep going. No, we don't like this one. We don't like that one. Keep going. And then you find out that those ones that they said, we don't like this, they not only didn't pay you for it, but they put it in the game. Like, that's lawsuit central. And then the nightmare of the soundtrack, which they announced it, I think, E3, hadn't discussed it with him. There's no contract in place that he's going to do this. So then he's grinding to get that soundtrack done. And then when they share, where Marty Stratton said whatever the head audio guy was going to do, edits or whatever and do what they wanted to do, according to Mick, and I haven't gone and listened to the original version of the soundtrack that everybody was apparently roasting, but according to Mick Gordon, it's like copy and paste stuff, looped stuff, mashing 2 separate parts together that don't make musical sense. Like, this is a fucking nightmare. I can tell you as a musician, the last thing I want is some dumbass taking my music and piecemealing it and mashing it and doing all that shit. And then on top of all of that, that guy gets credit. When that soundtrack came out, like you look at the tracks on Spotify or whatever, and it says Mick Gordon and the other guy's name, and I'm not going to say his name. I don't blame him for his involvement. I blame id Software for going, hey, you need to do this, and he probably was out of his element, sounds like. Maybe he's a good audio editor, but not a musician. But, I mean, it just... I can't believe the way that id Software handled this. It's not like this guy's some peon. You know what I mean? This isn't his first game, and he's already brought them great success with Doom. I mean, if you talk to anybody who enjoyed 2016, Doom 2016, you talk to them for more than 5 minutes, they're going to mention how amazing the soundtrack is. Like, I can't highlight that enough. The game loses a point in fun factor without that soundtrack. It sounds to me like what happened was Marty is probably of a leader who likes to push his weight around, is the nice way that I would put it. And I think that Mick going, hey, I have a suggestion, what if we try this, was probably greeted with, fuck you, I'm the boss. I don't give a fuck what you think. You don't run id Software, I do, asshole. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this instead. And then made it a point to make Mick's life a living hell throughout the rest of the process of that game.
Well,
that's the impression that I
then it gets worse, because when the soundtrack came out, it was very poorly received by us, the audience, the consumers, because it sounded like shit. There's 47 tracks on it that just all sounded like complete garbage. And Mick Gordon didn't hear the completed soundtrack before it was released, because he was basically just pulled off the project and they put it out. And then here's where things get hairy, where that 6-figure payout comes into play.
Yep.
So, Marty Stratton, and this is all according to Mick Gordon, which we'll get into that aspect of it here in a moment. Yeah. But so, quote, after Marty, spent some time chastising me for my lack of public support, he charged that the failure of the soundtrack was entirely my fault. I shot back that it wasn't my decision to include 47 poorly edited tracks. I hadn't even heard the final album before release. Marty directly accused me of failing to take ownership, and I insisted that I take full public responsibility. I can't speak. Responsibility. There you go. I countered that there was no way I would take the fall for something I didn't do. So he says that him and Marty cleared the air and bashed out a plan to work together. Marty suggested that we publish a joint statement that addressed the soundtrack situation and detailed our plans to fix the album. And I felt that this was an excellent first step. He requested I hold off on all further public comments until we address the public together. I agreed to this. Instead, Stratton proceeded to post this open letter on Reddit in which he blamed Gordon for the poor quality of the soundtrack.
Just straight threw him under the bus.
Yep. So instead, days later, he published a 2,500-word open letter on a fan-run Reddit page that singled me out as the sole cause behind the botched soundtrack. The post attracted thousands of comments and news articles and severely damaged my personal and professional reputation. Worst of all, he did it behind my back whilst leading me on with a bullshit story about working together on a professional solution to the problem. His statement was full of lies, disinformation, and innuendo, and when challenged, id Software offered me a 6-figure sum to shut up about it. This is pretty crazy.
And I have to give Mick some credit there for turning that down. I think most people would have said, all right, I'll take my payout and go home. And Mick said, no, fuck you.
So
you guys ran my life through a blender for 2 fucking years and then blame me for it.
Here's my rub on this whole story. Is Mick Gordon needs better legal counsel.
Agreed.
Because he should have stopped talking to them about this when he didn't get paid. And that should have been where him and Marty Stratton stopped speaking publicly, period. This is great insight into the industry that we've got from Mick Gordon from his giant expose and everything.
And my man brought receipts. I mean, he's backing up everything he's saying.
However, the better way to handle something like this is discreetly and with lawyers. Because it sounds like A, he hasn't been paid for work that he's completed.
Yep.
So that's a lawsuit. B, the way Marty Stratton handled it by posting this giant thing on Reddit, if he's got receipts that show that that's all lies, that's another lawsuit.
Well, and then you have another lawsuit for them announcing a soundtrack featuring Mick Gordon's music is going to be released with the collector's edition on this date with no contract written. Nothing. Mick could have said, nah, I don't want to do that. Or that's not enough money. They've already told the world we're going to have Mick Gordon's music original soundtrack released with the collector's edition. No contract. They hadn't even discussed it with him, according to him.
Yeah, so
that's another lawsuit.
I don't think it strengthens his position to come out and just blast this giant expose into the void. I think what would have spoken a lot louder is just a lawsuit. And then the industry would have reported that he's suing id.
Yep. And he would have won, by the way.
I think id is composed primarily of people that aren't fucking flaming assholes. And I think the way that this would and potentially still could probably go is id separating themselves from Marty Stratton and paying Mick what he's due and adding better hush money on top of it with a public statement saying that clearing his name versus getting sued into the fucking ground in a courtroom.
Because I'm telling you right now, in a courtroom, he's got it by the balls.
Well, if you can turn down a 6-figure hush money payout, you probably have money to afford lawyers. And Mick Gordon has been doing music for a while. He did Killer Instinct. He did Wolfenstein, obviously both Doom games. Wolfenstein 2. He also produced some really popular albums in the metalcore world. Bring Me the Horizons, Posthuman. He did Monuments in Stasis. And he did Motionless in White's album, Scoring the End of the World. So, I mean, he's all over the place. And then his just credits for contributions is pretty insane. So he's not broke. he can afford lawyers. No. So I am surprised that we have this much at this point.
Yeah.
That, and I'm not trying to dunk on Mick Gordon here amidst all these problems, but going out on the internet when you have adult problems like this and writing a fucking 14,000 word book about what went down before you take something into a courtroom, that's not the adult way of handling a thing. So I hope he gets what is due to him. I think just in his statement, he's done a lot to clear his name, albeit I hope that it doesn't weaken his ability to get what's due to him. If there's some fallacies that are found in anything that he wrote and published on the internet, because even people who are in the right can write things that can get them into trouble in a courtroom. So if it's 100% accurate and there's nothing that, a lawyer can look at and go, well, you kind of fucked up here. So hopefully he gets taken care of because,
and I think he will, but I mean, it's as a musician, it really bummed me out to see a musician treated this way and just treated as disposable and garbage and just take your money and shut up. And it's disheartening.
Yeah. So, we hope the best for Mick Gordon here, and I'll be interested to see how this develops. If it does, and it sounds like it's got to turn into lawsuits at this point. It'll probably be a couple years before it's resolved. So this sort of reminds me of the thing with God, I forget his name, the Halo composer, Martin O'Donnell, that had all those issues with Bungie, and he wound up cleaning up in court with them. This really reminds me of that. So, Mr. Gregorian chant himself.
See, the thing I don't understand about that world is it's gig work. I mean, we've had a long, in-depth conversation with voiceover work recently after the Bayonetta 3 controversy. Why don't these video game companies just say, hey, you're amazing, you do great work, how about you just work for us and just be our music guy, and we'll just pay you a salary, and you just, whatever projects we want you on, you just have you on. With the amount of money that's going around on these games, I mean, it's the biggest entertainment industry in the world. You can't go, hey, Mick Gordon, you're now on Bethesda's payroll, and whatever we want to send you to do, you can just be a part of, and it's not, hey, can I get paid this year for the game that I've been working on for a year? It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Doesn't make sense.
Well, we certainly hope the best for Mick, because his jams are delicious. And this is a weird and concerning story. So, all right, I think that's as much of that as we could possibly discuss. So, without further ado, it's time for the final segment of the show. Johnny, that segment is, of course, called Ladies and gentlemen, that's right. It's time for One Up. Johnny, let's start with you.
Yeah, baby. The Corsair K100 RGB keyboard is the single greatest gaming keyboard that thine hands have ever touched. My Logitech G915 that I was very much in love with, I loved it. I was so excited about it. I was a big fan of that keyboard. The downside with the Logitech G915 is that it has their own proprietary Logitech switches. So if and when it ever acts up, you can't replace a switch. You can't buy new keycaps for it unless you're buying them from Logitech. So the first one that I had, I spilled something on it, and it stopped working. It's a bummer, but I found a good deal on a refurbed one, and I said, well, that was my bad. Let me just go ahead and get another one. Got another one. That one started acting up on its own about a month or two ago, where this key doesn't always activate when I hit it. Sometimes I have to hit it multiple times, and other keys feeling sticky. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try something else. So I've had my eye on this Corsair for a while, but the biggest downside of the Corsair K100 RGB, it's a $200 keyboard. So it was one of those, yeah, it'd be nice, but I can't see myself spending $200 on a keyboard until I'm scrolling through Amazon and I see that they have refurbished ones, factory refurbished, for $99. I was like, okay, let's give this a shot. It has optical switches, so they're way more sensitive. The key will actually activate like when you whisper on it, which is really nice. It has that nice clicky feel. The LEDs are really nice on it. It has a wheel that you can customize. So I actually have it set to scroll through programs, so I can be in the middle of something and I can just roll the wheel and it'll scroll through the different programs running on the computer. I'm a big fan. If anybody's a PC gamer, you're looking for a really nice mechanical keyboard with all the macro keys. And, oh, by the way, I didn't even mention, it also has 6 additional macro keys, which is not uncommon for a gaming keyboard nowadays. But this one has Stream Deck integration. So if you already have a Stream Deck and you already have buttons, this keyboard now gives you another 6 Stream Deck functions built right into the keyboard. Works right with Stream Deck. So in Stream Deck, I can go, I want this button to be that scene. I want this button to be mute microphone. I want this button to be whatever. It's awesome. Love it.
My one up this week is much more important.
Uh-oh. Food?
You know it.
We have a lot of food one-ups.
Everyone gather around and let me remind you, it's November. And in November, your grocery store, becomes inundated with turkey. My one-up this week is turkey. Why wait till Thanksgiving when you can have turkey all month? Beautiful, delicious, easy to prepare turkey.
Bro, I went to the Giant supermarket today. Guess what the Giant Shoppers membership discount was on turkey? 37 cents.
My God.
A 26-pound turkey was $10. My wife comes over to me and is like, am I reading this price tag right? And I'm like, yeah, no, it says club price $10. Let's go get another one. So we bought like 2 ginormous 25-pound turkeys for $20.
So just go buy a turkey breast. Just one turkey breast. It'll feed your family for a fucking week. Because they're huge. Because it's a turkey. Not some little chicken. Oh, no. It's a big fucking bird.
Mm-mm.
That's right. Make that shit. Cut it up. And then you know what you do, Johnny? You get some mashed potatoes. You get a box of stuffing. You get some sandwich buns.
Oh, you're speaking my language,
and
yes,
you make
sir.
those Thanksgiving fucking sandwiches early. That's right.
Amen.
And they're basically free because grocery stores are fucking giving this shit away.
They
so
really
my one
are.
up this week is turkey.
Awesome. I want to piggyback on that because I make the turkey for the big Thanksgiving family get-together. The turkey is me and my wife. Brine your turkey, folks. Power Gamer Podcast listeners, if you have the responsibility of cooking the turkey this year, you need to buy a brining kit. It's just a big, giant plastic bag and a huge bag full of seasoning, and you brine the turkey for a day before you cook it. Just trust me, it will be the best turkey that you've ever made. Brine your turkey.
Cajun seasoning.
Oh, yes.
So brining the bird and roasting the bird is a fantastic way to make a delicious and juicy turkey. You literally inject it with juices. But I might dare add that you should go to Walmart or Ace Hardware or Home Depot.
Okay.
And pick yourself up a fucking turkey fryer. Now, if you burn down your house because you're a moron, that is not my fault. Thaw that bird. Do not put a frozen bird into a fryer because water and hot oil equals explosion.
Accurate.
Thaw that bird. But my God. And don't fill the whole bucket up with oil. You got to leave room for the turkey
to fit in there
to go into the fryer. But let me tell you something. Deep fried turkey with those Cajun juices injected into the bird, and then you dry rub the whole bird so it gets that nice Cajun crust on the outside.
I'm so ready for turkey, bro. I'm so ready.
Nothing better. And see, that's why the one-up is important, because people need to not wait for Thanksgiving to eat the turkey. It's turkey month. You eat turkey the whole month. There is a plethora of poultry at your grocery store that you can eat now for cheap.
And they're just giving it away.
You know when turkey gets expensive?
When it's not
the night before Thanksgiving. Buy that shit now and buy more than you need. Just throw it in the freezer. That bird will keep.
That's what I did.
Keep. Cook one now. Cook another later. Hey, maybe get some turkey cutlets while you're at it. They're always delicious.
Yes.
So, not to steal your thunder on your one-up, Johnny, because it was a fine one-up. But
no, you definitely one-upped my one.
But I brought the turkey, and that's my one-up for the week. So, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this week's episode of the Power Gamer Podcast. Many miles sit between me and the next episode of the show, but we will, of course, be back again next week with another great episode of the Power Gamer Podcast for you to enjoy. Until then, I'm Mike Dawson.
And I'm Johnny Paulus.
Tune in next time. Take care.
Catch you on the flip flop.